In Glasgow. Simon is in London alongside Andros Townsend, and we have been reacting to the bombshell news as far as Scotland are concerned that Billy Gilmour, our star man at Wembley on Friday night, has tested positive for COVID, and Billy will now self-isolate for 10 days and therefore miss tomorrow's match, a crunch match, win or bust at Hampden against Croatia. Andros, Simon, Alex Crook was pointing out to me just moments ago, interestingly, that the Scotland squad, of course, are based at Rockcliffe in Middlesbrough. If they were here, if they were in Scotland, under Scottish terms and regulations, rules and regulations here, the entire squad party would have to self-isolate. Really? So, Simon, that is a break in itself. Because they are where they are, that doesn't apply.
Yeah. Ultimately, yeah. I mean, if we can extrapolate these things and make them worse or better than they are. The fact of the matter is Scotland have lost a player. The rest of the team were very much part of that performance against England. So you move on. If we want to focus on Billy Gilmour being the only reason you're going to beat Croatia, then people are misguided. It's disappointing. And of course, I understand what you're now moving into, the territory of Nicola Sturgeon's little strange world. But they're not in that area. They're in Middlesbrough. So with the greatest respect in the world, Scotland can now focus on beating Croatia and achieving something meaningful. Because right now, if the only thing you've got to hang on to is no goals and a draw against England, you need to move on and beat Croatia. It's there to be done.
So what happens then, Jim? Because isn't the game at Hampden Park? The
game's at Hampden Park, yeah. Yeah, they will obviously travel up from Middlesbrough sometime later, probably later today. Yeah. We'll get checks on that, actually, Andros. It's a good point, because in terms of Scotland's movements, it all comes into question a lot more. But hopefully there's no further bad news coming out the Scotland party headquarters regarding COVID. Thus far, one player, and that player is Billy Gilmour, has tested positive. Andros, let's shift our attention briefly to England as we head towards 11 o'clock. Southgate broke a bit from protocol to confirm early on that Harry Kane starts tomorrow night against the Czech Republic. Where do you stand on this, Andros, regarding his loyalty to Kane? Is it admirable or is it somewhat misguided?
Harry Kane is one of the most prolific strikers in world football. There's no loyalty to Harry Kane by playing him against Czech Republic. He has to play. He's your best player. What you need to do is, because you've now got the buffer of you've already qualified, you need to use this Czech Republic game to find ways to get the best out of Harry Kane. Whether that be play Grealish, Rashford, Sancho, I don't know, but you need to find a way to get the best out of Harry Kane, because England are not winning this tournament if Harry's getting 6 touches in the box, and that's for sure. So he has to start him. There's no loyalty. It's a fact. Harry Kane is the best striker we have, so he has to play.
I mean, Simon, Southgate is quoted as saying, I know there will be a lot of questions asked about him at the moment, but he's been through that 100 times. So in other words, what Andros is saying, look, the guy is so seasoned a campaigner. He's been over the course before. We've seen situations like this before. He simply has to play. Do you take that school of thought as well?
Well, of course. I think it's contemptible to suggest anything otherwise, just because England haven't been at a particularly fluent. They didn't play particularly well against Scotland, and that was from number 1 to number 11. So singling out Kane just because Kane has put him, so he's a victim of his own success. It's very similar, but for different reasons, than Alan Shearer in the 96 tournament, where he hadn't scored for 2 years and people patronised him, and look how that turned out in the 96 tournament. Harry Kane is an outstanding player that, given opportunities that which have to be on the whole created by others, he will score goals. If the team aren't overly creative, if the team aren't overly intense and moving the ball quickly and creating chances for him, at the end of the day, he's not head cook and bottle washer, he's a centre forward, and his job is to be on the end of other people's service. So I think it's ridiculous. The reasons why Gareth Southgate, whatever protocol there is, because there isn't a protocol, you can announce your team on the formation of the players that you want to play whenever you want. He's having to do it because of segments of the ridiculous British press piling on, suggesting that Harry Kane shouldn't be playing in these games or should be considered not selectable because of who's going to go in his position. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, with respect, no, he's not. So I just think that Gareth perhaps shouldn't have indulged it and just picked the team as normal. But the reasons why he's done this is because he wants to get it out of the way. He wants to deal with it now, so he hasn't got to listen to endless questions about, will Harry Kane play? Will Harry Kane not play? What's his form like? I just think it's a bit silly. Harry Kane has performed well all season and will perform well in this tournament. And he's had a game or two games where he hasn't been at his best, but neither has the team.
And we didn't.
Yeah, but Simon, Andros, he's been nowhere near it. I mean, let's face the facts here. I mean, Graham Souness said Kane looks a shadow of the player that he knows him to be. He looks leggy. He's lacking enthusiasm.
Well, that's certainly not the case. Harry, we're not talking about a striker who's had 6 good months and then fallen off. We're talking about a striker who's done it year in, year out for the last 4 or 5 years. So for me, if Harry Kane is not scoring goals, it's not Harry's fault. We got to look at the players behind him.
He's not getting chances,
He's not getting chances. He's not getting service. 6 chances in the box, 6 touches in the box. What do you expect him to do? Get the ball from halfway line and run it to into the opposition's box? That's not his game.
I'm surprised that Graham... Is that an exact quote? I can understand Graham saying leggy. I can't understand Graham saying a lack of enthusiasm because he's playing for England. He's the England captain. There's many things you can accuse Harry Kane of. Or, in fact, there aren't many things you can accuse Harry Kane of. But in this instance, because he hasn't had many touches in the opposition box, you can say he's a little bit leggy. But how can you say he's lacking enthusiasm? That's a strange
blunt,
observation,
isn't it, Andros? To be fair, the England attack is blunt at the moment. It's not where it should be or anywhere near it.
No, but what I will say is as well is we didn't have the most ideal preparation for the tournament. 3 of our front 4 were involved in the Champions League final, which meant they weren't able to take part in the training camp. They weren't able to play in either of the friendly games. So it's not ideal circumstances, and you can see these guys trying to get to know each other, trying to figure out each other's runs, trying to work off each other in a major tournament, which is not ideal. But listen, going back to what you said, Harry Kane is not disinterested. Harry Kane is not tired. None of this. We need to get Harry Kane the ball. I'm sure Gareth Southgate will change it to try and get Harry the ball, whether it's Grealish, Rashford or Sancho or other players. But we need to use this game to try and get one of the best strikers in world football into this tournament.
Yeah, because it's game 3. I mean, honestly, Simon, by this stage, Kane should be flying, should he not?
But we weren't talking about England being blunt against Croatia. I was listening to the British press talk about how wonderful we are against Croatia. Now we're crap. We played badly in 1 game, and Scotland worked very hard to make us play badly. So, with due respect,
Southgate took him off, Simon.
Yeah, because ultimately a change-up was needed.
Energy. That's why he whipped him off.
Nobody is beyond changing something. Ultimately, Harry Kane might have...
The great British press, Simon, is reporting what it's seeing.
Well, the great British press goes from one extreme to the other in a ridiculous nanosecond. We've gone from being England are world beaters after Croatia to England are rubbish after Scotland, and nothing in the middle. Harry Kane got subbed because he wasn't playing very well in an individual game. So with the greatest respect in the world, the job is done. What is it we want? Do we want to do... Portugal were dreadful in a tournament a few years ago. They qualified by the skin of the teeth. They won the tournament. What is the purpose of running down our players, running down our star players, when in fact we're going to qualify from the group? That's the job, isn't it?
Well,
what's the purpose of bigging them up, Andros?
If I go back to the World Cup in 2018... the press were behind us, all the fans were behind us. Nobody was second-guessing Southgate or the players. They were behind the team, and we got to a semi-final because of it, and it was an unbelievable summer. Let's try and recreate that again. Let's try and get behind these boys and let's make the nation proud like 2018. It was an unbelievable summer. The sun was out, everyone was in pubs singing, dancing. It was incredible. Let's try and recreate that.
And here's the real conundrum. And Andros has hit the nail on the head. No expectation in 2018. Southgate sailed through. Right? He now has expectation. He will be the difference between whether England are ultimately successful in this tournament and not, because his selections, his ability to get his team to be cohesive, his ability to get his players to play in a certain way will be determined by the England manager. And we will see whether Gareth Southgate has been propped up by false narratives and a World Cup where we only beat people that we should have beaten, and we are in a tournament now where people expect us to do well.
Okay, let's hear what the England fans think then as we head to a break. The other side of it, we'll try and take a few calls. 08717 223344. What about Southgate breaking protocol and confirming early that Kane will start tomorrow night against the Czech Republic? Is that admirable or is it misguided? Andros says, when it comes to Kane, of course, he has to start. He's a number 1. He's a talisman. But is it admirable of Southgate or is it somewhat misguided? And what's it going to take for Kane to really get on his game? 08717 223344. We can hear from you, 81089.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.